Hi, and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today is episode 5 of season 1. We're still discussing New York City rentals and how the market is. Over the weekend, I did receive a couple of questions, so today will be our Q&A day. Anytime you have a question, just call me, email me, or text it to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. And I like to follow it up on our blog as well as this YouTube channel. So here I am, Ima Giacoli, the broker and owner of Tyler Vincent Real Estate, located in Carroll Gardens. I am also going to discuss here in depth on this channel about going from renting to buying. That'll continue in episodes 6 and 7 because that takes a little bit more time. But so our Q&A over the weekend. So Ask Ima. Here I am, yours truly, Ask Ima. So here I am. So over the course of the weekend, I received 3 questions. One about pets. When does a pet get residency in New York City, or how does it happen? So here goes. When I hear questions like that, I kind of wonder, do you have a pet? Do you want to sneak in a pet? Is the apartment that you're totally in love with pet-free? And the reason I ask those questions, or that comes to mind, is because why would you ask that question? So here goes. A pet does gain residency after 30 days of living in the apartment with you. But here goes. You must have the pet in public. You cannot hide the pet. It has to be an open view every time you take the pet out or in from the home. And if the landlord does not see the pet after 30 days, the pet actually gets residency. However, I do not recommend that route. I'm always on the side of transparency, honesty, and treat your landlord fairly, and they'll treat you equally as fair. So here's a little prop. What happens to Fido and Fifi? Well, here's a way that you can get your pet in. Be honest with the landlord, whether you have a pet or don't have a pet. If you have a service dog, that is automatically an exception to the rule. All service dogs, doesn't matter, emotional support or seeing eye dogs, they are an exception to the rules in housing. If you think you might want to get a pet after 6 months, maybe you feel like maybe you'll be alone, you're coming to New York and you don't know anybody, so you need something furry to cuddle up with. That's fine. So why don't you just be open about that from the beginning and offer the landlord a pet security deposit, which is normal for any kind of pet wear and tear that's outside of the normal wear and tear on a lease, and offer to sign one of these. This is called a pet rider. And it discloses everything the landlord needs to know about your pet, if anyone's going to be coming and going. There's a few concerns about pets. A lot of times people leave them home all day. They bark, they cry, because they don't want to be alone either. The same way you didn't want to be alone. That's why you went to go get a pet or want to get a pet. So let's keep that in mind. Getting a pet is great. Keeping them home alone is not so great. Now, are you going to get a dog walker? Because now the landlord's going to be worried that you're giving keys out to the property and now putting other tenants at risk. These are all natural concerns. Ask as many questions as you can from the jump. Make sure your real estate professional knows how to handle a situation like this and not afraid to ask these questions. It doesn't mean you're not going to get the apartment. It just means you may not be able to get the pet, at least not during your first year of residency there. If you extend the lease, there's a really good shot. If the landlord feels secure and sees that you're responsible, there's really no reason not to grant you the right to have a pet. So do it the right way, ethical, transparent, be honest, and then you can get your little Fido and Fifi. Question number 2. So over the weekend, I received a question to clear up the fee structures because it does get a little crazy. So I'm going to cover starting first, number 1, income qualifications and how that works. We do 40 times the rent. So 40 times the rent. So if the rent is $2,300 a month, we multiply $2,300 by 40. We end up with a minimum income requirement of $92,000. That's how you financially qualify for an apartment. So you take 40 times whatever the rent is, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500. Then the fee is structured based on the monthly rent. So if the monthly rent is $2,300 and there are 12 months in a year, the yearly rent is $27,600. The fee is based off of the yearly gross, $27,600. So we would take a 10% fee would be $2,760, A 12% fee would be $33.12. Now, here's a disclaimer. All of these fees and all of these income requirements are subject to change. They vary from landlord to landlord. They vary from real estate company to real estate company, broker to agent, agent to brokerage, because a lot of brokers have their own policies. Some have a minimum fee of 15% of the yearly rent. Some have a policy of be flexible anywhere from 10 to 15% of that yearly rent. These are the things you need to know. Do a little bit of math. You see how much will be coming out of your pocket. That's the reason why so many are going for the fee-free. Just make sure that the fee-free is not quite just a net effective rent, that it's actually a fee-free apartment. And that there's no fee coming out of your side to have representation. Because in New York, it's buyer beware. And in New York, the saying is, representation does not equal compensation. Moving on to question number 3. Question number 3 that I received was about 1-year lease versus a 2-year lease. And what are the opportunities of either or not, or what's the harm that could come from that? So here goes. You're new here, or it's your first apartment, or you're moving into bigger space. If you're moving into bigger space and you've been down this rodeo before, you're probably going to want to secure a 2-year lease. The advantages of a 2-year lease are going to go one way or the other. It's going to either go, the rent is the same for 2 years, or there is an increase at the end of the year, and it's already pre-disclosed and predetermined at the time of signing. Otherwise, a 2-year lease serves no purpose, right? So the 1-year lease is valid only for the year, and then you're at the mercy of the landlord. If you were a great tenant and they love you, they'll have no problem extending it and probably keeping the rent similar to where you were at, if not close to that, right? If you were trouble and complained about every single little thing, like light bulbs and things of this nature, they very well might raise your rent even higher, just because they don't want to deal with you anymore. I'm just being realistic. This is New York City. So remember, 1-year lease versus a 2. The 2 is advantageous if the rent remains the same for the 2 years, or you already know what the increase will be for the 2nd year. Moving costs money in New York. You're talking 15% rental fees. You're talking first month security, moving fees. I mean, it piles on. You'll be spending $20,000 every year to move. So clearly you don't want to do that, right? So you want to be the best kind of tenant you could possibly be while you enjoy your life and the landlord gets their rent. You don't want to cause a rock the boat because, again, you'd like to probably stay. Most people who rent, or at least the tenants that I handle, they usually stay 3 years, 4 years, 5. I have great landlords that I work with, and I put in fantastic tenants. So I never have an issue there. But in the meantime, it is a matchup. He's not a stranger. He's going to be your landlord. You're going to be paying him every month. Have a good relationship with them. He's a human just like you are. And so don't be afraid of the landlord. He's not the big bad wolf. And so remember, don't hide Fido and Fifi. Do it the right way. Express your concerns for future pets. And, 1 or 2 year lease, it's up to you. It's up to the landlord. Feel out the market. Make it advantageous. Otherwise, take the 1 year. Leases are legally binding. They are contracts. They are enforceable. Even though it is a tenant state, they are enforceable. Read the fine print. Read your riders carefully. Make sure that you still have freedom to live in your space. Some riders get really crazy. So we're going to wrap today. This was our Q&A, Season 1, Episode 5. Catch you on 6 and 7. Talk to you soon. Ciao. AskEma.com.